gonna go ahead and just talk since I don't have anyone in my chat yet. Um, but I thought this would be good practice. I had a horrible time accessing the Zoom. I have two Gmail accounts and I totally panicked. It was 10 till and my account got locked because I couldn't remember my password. So what have I learned? Give it half hour before, so there's plenty of time. I wanted to talk about the beginning of the PCT. I live in San Diego, so I'm really close to the southern terminus, luckily. And I did my first training hike. I did the first 20 miles of the PCT in October, so the weather was still pretty warm. There was some water, but it was not, it was sort of a heavier water carry. I think I did about 7.5 miles and we camped and then I think there was a little creek on the way, maybe the second day. I'll have to look at my records on Far Out. And then Hauser Creek was running great. So we got water there. And then the third day we hiked up out of Hauser Creek. And I've read that some people say that's one of the hardest parts of the PCT. Not so much that it's hard, but a lot of people try to do the first 20 miles in one day, and no way could I do it. I hiked with a more experienced hiker who slowed down for me, and I was hiking about a mile an hour on average, which is pretty slow. But it was very little of the first 20 miles is flat. When you first leave the border, it's pretty flat, but then you quickly start an ascent and a descent and ascent, descent, and then the going down into Hauser Canyon and then coming back up the other side. It was definitely, I guess scared's not the right word. I was intimidated when I looked up from Hauser Canyon and saw the mountain. And even when you look at it on Far Out, when you can look at the ascents and descents on there. But I did it. And it wasn't crazy hard. I definitely learned that I need a break. We didn't get up super early. I think we started hiking by about 8:30 in the morning, so kind of late for hikers. And then after the first day, I was pretty exhausted. And I learned that I do better with a nap because I normally lay down every day in my normal life at around 1 o'clock. So the second day I said I'd like to take a break, and he was happy to take a break and take a nap. So we found a place in the shade and for about an hour and rested, and then I felt great. So something to think about if you're if you're just not feeling it and it's a struggle, try taking a little, maybe 20-minute break or whatever it takes. Just you really can you'd be surprised at how rejuvenated you can get when you, like for me, a cat nap, I wake up feeling fantastic. I survived for many years as an attorney on very little sleep, which was not healthy, but I was renowned for my ability to go without sleep. Okay, so this week, from the 13th through the 17th, I'm going to be doing a 5-day hike from Lake Marina, which is where I stopped. By the way, the malt shop is as good as they say. And it's not like a malt shop. It's just a little counter in the kind of like convenience store that's there. But there's booths. I mean, it's nice, and the service was great, very friendly, and I had a really good burger, really good fries, and the shake was good. So definitely that's a tradition on the trail to stop in there, and you can do a resupply. So I was planning a more ambitious hike. I've been training, but my hiking partner says, let's go ahead and just plan an hour for a mile, because we will be doing an ascent into Mount Laguna, and we'll see where we end up. And I don't think we're gonna have snow. Mount Laguna does get snow. It's in San Diego County, but it's a higher elevation. So when we get a storm with rain in the winter, they do get snow enough to make. I've made a snow person was a snow woman, and I've thrown snowballs at people. Or no, we pretended, because there's a sign that says it's like a felony or something to do that. So don't do that. And I've never hiked or camped in winter weather, so I'm pretty comfortable with the cold. I just went car camping a couple weekends ago, and it was pretty cold. We were at a campground called Cibbets Flat, which is after Lake Marina on the way to Mount Laguna. Really nice little campground. It's like $14 a night. And I went with a friend who she's older, and she doesn't want to hike anymore. And she was real cold, but it was raining. We went for the weekend. It was raining Friday night. And we went out to dinner, and then she said, let's just go back to San Diego. It's not even an hour away. So, and I'll get up as early as you want. We'll come in on Saturday. So I was like, fine. I really wanted the chance to camp and to be out in some weather with my rain gear, but it was fine. I went home, and we went back the next day, and she was very cold after at bedtime, kind of when the fire went out. She was getting in the car, putting the car in to warm up, and we've decided that she's not going to do any more winter camping with me. I don't mind it. I think if you have, I like being outdoors, and I think if you dress appropriately, I slept in my sleeping bag on this trip. I think my sleeping bag's at 15 degrees, and it wasn't that. It was in the 30s. It probably, I'd say mid 30s. It did get really windy, and I had not really experienced that before. So I learned to assume things, like when you go to bed, everything's fine, but in the middle of the night, something could happen. So just we didn't clean up as much as I thought we should. I asked her about it, and she's a very experienced hiker, and I was like, don't you think we should put some of this stuff away? And she's like, no, it's fine. So like we woke up, and the wind started up around kind of around sunrise, which I think is not an abnormal thing to happen. And like the paper towels were strewn around for the camping area, and she had left a paper bowl of chili that she made, which was delicious, by the way, sitting out. And I said, you don't want to put that away? And I was going to put it away, but plus because of animals, but the bowl of chili flipped over onto one of her bags with the chili. So and stuff could blow away. I mean, that's one of my my trail name is not Cheryl, because I went out on the PCT for the first time to do some section hiking in 2020. It was actually my first time backpacking, and my friend Allie, who is now my camping friend Allie, she was my backpacking friend Allie then. And I always really wanted to go backpacking, but I always really loved the outdoors. I just love the isolation of backpacking, and I love just the feeling of like moving yourself around the country or the countryside the way people have been doing it for, I think, forever, right? As long as there have been people. So I think that's really cool. And I like that everything you have is in your pack. And part of me is like, if you mess up, you could die, right? You could fall off a cliff, you could freeze to death, you could, I don't know, drink bad water. So you definitely have to be competent, I would say, and safety conscious. When I hiked the first 20 miles, I did use my new Garmin, which I won from the O'Fowler Foundation. They were kind enough, I think they gave away like maybe 5 of them, and you just had to put your email in, and I won one. And not only did I get a really nice InReach, the bigger one, and they gave me gift cards to pay for the service. So I want to sort of pay it forward and have a safety device probably it's a mini, I think the one I have, and I'll pay for service for the hiking season for somebody. Maybe I'll do a drawing. Yeah, that'll be fun. Or maybe I'll let them do the drawing. I'll ask them what they want to do. But I think there's that program. And then there's also, I think it's called Trevor, there's a Trevor Spikes program where you can get a discount on micro spikes. And they'll mail them to you out on the trail. And I think because somebody's son named Trevor fell into a crevice in, I think, on San Jacinto and died. And there were two other hikers that happened to be they were kind of hiking together. I think they were a tramily, and they couldn't do anything. They couldn't rescue him. So unfortunately he passed away, which is just tragic. And hopefully, having the proper safety equipment will prevent tragedies like that from happening to any of us on the trail. Yeah, I'm curious. I guess that's a statistic. I don't know if I could find that, but how many people die on the trail every hiking season? It'd be interesting. I might find out and then find out like how they died, so we can not do that. Make a note. So death on PCT. And if anybody knows, let me know how I can find. I think I can contact the PCTA. So what else was it? Oh, my first hike, or my 20-mile initial hike from Campo was exciting because I got to use my Sawyer filter and filter water for the first time. And the water was a little moldy, not moldy, mildewy, kind of green, but it tasted great. So that filter works great. And just remember, don't let it freeze, because if you let it freeze, it may not work. The other thing that happened to me was I didn't realize that they dry out. And so I bought that filter in 2020 and never used it. I haven't backpacked for long enough to where I had to get water from someplace. So it didn't work at first. I used my Hiking Buddies filter, and then I soaked it in water when I get back, and now it works great. So I think maybe I'll post this it's not a disaster if it dries out. It will not work though if you let it freeze. So when you go to bed at night, always make sure you do. This is what I've learned. You want to put your electronics in with you. You want to put your filter in with you. And I've heard that your shoes can freeze if it's cold, and a lot of times your shoes are damp from sweat, and it can be hard and uncomfortable and painful even to put them on in the morning when they're frozen. So somebody said to put water bottles, inside your shoes, and that insulates the water from freezing, and also keeps your shoes from freezing. So it seems like a good idea, right? Yeah, that your water can freeze too. So if you get up in the morning, and someone said this, if you leave your water bottles out, turn them upside down. Why did they say to do that? I thought they said to turn them upside down, but that doesn't matter. I was thinking that the ice would be you want the ice on the bottom, but I'll have to look into that one. But just maybe put them sideways. I don't know. I'll have to think about that. But you don't want to wake up to everything frozen solid. So that would be unfortunate. So just keep that in mind. And what else? Oh, I like to put my clothes that I'm going to wear in the morning in my bag with me, because then they're not real cold when I get up. And I usually get dressed like kind of in my bag. And that's one of the things a lot of hikers I've heard complain about is it's just, it's hard to get out when you're nice and warm. And get going for the day. The other thing I'd like to find an answer to is men are lucky because they can pee in their tents, right? I'm looking at different devices to see if I can figure out how to do that. I don't know. I would like to invent like a catheter system so that you just don't have to worry about it. You just empty out the bag. But I guess there's the insertion issue. I'm going to invent something, I think. So that's something I'm thinking about. Kula cloth. Do you know what a kula cloth is? They're for ladies. And Google it. It's a cute company. It's a small business. I love my kula cloth. I bought one for another one of my hiker friends. So kula cloth. The other thing, I do a lot. I've been doing trail angeling for the last like 3 years. And I really prefer to pick people that have finished. I've dropped people off too, but I never know who's going to make it. I know, like, I don't know how many people I've dropped off. I know for sure one person did. One guy was kind of a dick and he didn't seem to want to keep in touch. So, and then I just talked to a female that I dropped off, and she said she made it to Kennedy Meadows, which, somebody else, people say they failed, right? They attempted and they failed because they didn't do it. And I can't, when I hiked, I think the first hike I did was maybe 17 miles over 3 days on the PCT. And I was really proud of myself. I don't think I've ever walked, 7, 8 miles in a day. So I think we get maybe people that are newer to hiking and backpacking. We set our expectations of ourselves based on, these hikers don't read those books by the crazy ones that they hike like I read a book and she hiked like, I want to say 68 miles or something. She wanted to break the record. That's no. And then and you know what too? I don't want to rush through this experience and just, I think it's interesting that when I heard about like doing the trail, I thought you were on the trail the whole way, right? But people go stay in a hotel every 4 or 5 days for their zeros. And I just think it's interesting. So, my trail name that I got on my first section hike in 2020, it was Not Cheryl, because of Cheryl Strayed from Wild, the book that made the PCT even more, it made it a lot more popular actually with people than it used to be, which is good and bad, but she made some really kind of stupid I don't want to say stupid, she just didn't really do a good job preparing for the hike. And so my hiking buddy, now my camping buddy, Allie, would say, don't be like Cheryl, make sure you never let go of your tent until it's staked down, because it can blow away in a gust of wind and flies over the cliff and you're dead. That's what she would all say, like things that would make me dead. So don't be a Cheryl. And it's great if you're listening to this and you are, preparing for the hike. I was actually kind of stupid. I didn't do any research other than relying on my friend Allie. And in some ways, I'm glad I didn't, because I think I might have been intimidated and scared. I think there's a balance. You don't want to overdo it, but you don't want to be totally ignorant either. I did watch Wild and I read the book. And it's really a really good, I don't know if you haven't read it, Cheryl Strayed's really a remarkable writer. She's a beautiful writer. And I like to read the book, not just because of her adventures or her misadventures on the trail, but she just writes really well and really, emotionally, for me, touches me. I always cry in a good way. So let's see. So now that my friend Allie is my camping friend Allie and not my PCT hiking friend Allie, she sold me her pretty, I think, top of the line equipment. So I bought her Z-Packs Duplex, which I think is the lowest weight double tent on the market. And she's done a lot of backpacking, like, for years. She actually led, I think, Boy Scout troops professionally. And she said, you know what, and it's true, I was thinking I like to cowboy camp. I don't like to be in a tent, but she said, you're on the trail for 5 or 6 months. And I've heard other people say this. You're not going to want to sleep outside every time. And if the weather's bad, they've got systems, but the bivvies there's there's not a lot of room for hanging out in there. Even like to eat, it's hard to change your clothes. So that's why I got a pretty good deal from her on the Z packs duplex, and it weighs 19 ounces. I think without I don't know if that includes the guidelines. I don't think it includes the stakes, but she has lightweight stakes that she threw in. I also bought her backpack, which I'm not really good at, like, people. I was like, oh, what's your kind of bag? Yeah, and I don't remember. I know I got it at REI, but actually I had an Osprey Ella, something like that. Like, I think it was a 55. And actually that was my second. On my hike, I took this pack. I don't know what it was, but I returned it when I got back, and I got this Osprey. And I really haven't been backpacking. We did some backpacking. We went up to Crater Lake. We went to trail days. I guess that was last year. But it was last year. We went to trail days. So we were up in Washington, and we always hike a bit on the PCT when we're there. But I don't remember having a problem with the backpack. No, and we definitely hiked a bit, backpacked a bit in Crater Lake, which is incredibly beautiful, by the way. We also went to Lassen, which I don't know if I'll climb that mountain. Maybe I will. I don't know. Maybe I will. She didn't want to climb the mountain. And it's got these really cool, like bubbling pots of that sulfur, from the superheated ground, or I guess it's not the ground, it's what's under the ground. But oh my God, some beautiful places. I just cannot wait to see the Sierra. I've been to Yosemite a few times. I think Yosemite might be the most breathtaking spot I've ever seen. But we'll see. We'll see. So anyway, when I did my training hike out of Campo, I didn't have a shirt. I had a tank top on because it was hot, and the shoulder straps were just digging into my arm here, like really hurt. I didn't quite get a blister. I stuck something under, like a bandana underneath, and then the sternum strap was like up here on me. So I went back to REI, and of course it's been, I think they'll return it, exchange it for you at purchase price for a year. And after a year, they won't. So just keep that in mind, right? But they offered to buy back for me as a used. So I think I paid $300 and they gave me $80, but I figured that was better than nothing. So I sold it back. I did forget to give them the brain though. And but they didn't notice. And I found the brain. I knew I had it somewhere. So now I got this brain that I got a brain. And then so then Allie's like, why don't you try mine? So I'm trying out her backpack this hiking season. I mean, this trip I'm going on next week. But I've been walking around in the house with nothing in it, and then I've been trying to put some weight in it. So the other exciting thing I'm going to do is I have a service dog because I'm disabled, and I'm going to take her on this 5-day hike to see how she does. When I hike, I'm planning to leave March 9th, which is a little bit late in the season. I'll have to see what the weather's like in the Sierra, but I may leave earlier and just use local permits. And I'm working on setting up something on forkimmy.org on the website to make it way more easy to order. Like I'll have links to wherever you need permits and say where the permit is. Because I don't think it's hard, but it takes a little bit of thought. And then you can't get all the permits before you leave. You have to get them as you go because you give them dates of when you're going to be there. Like we got a permit for the Cleveland National Forest. You don't need a permit to start at Campo, but then you do need one as you go north. You go into the Cleveland National Forest and you need a permit for that. It's really easy to get. It's like not, they don't count them. You just do it online, I'm pretty sure. I didn't do it myself, and I asked my hiking partner, Dave, to send me the link. And he thought I wanted to put like our names and addresses, and I don't. I just wanted the link. Because I mean, someone else can look it up. See, and that's my point. Like I didn't want to have, I looked it up one time and I felt like I couldn't find the right place to go for it. So I would like to have it on the website where it's real easy and obvious. So like what we can make easier on the hikers on your hike, let's do that, right? So I'm gonna have to carry extra water. She's only 12 pounds. I'm gonna have to have extra water, her dog food. She doesn't eat a lot. And then I'm planning to bury her poop. Oh, I was gonna say that. Somebody said don't bring even that titanium shovel they have for poop, for digging your poop. He says just use your sticks, your hiking sticks. So it is kind of hard to dig with that if the ground's hard, it's hard to dig with that titanium shovel. It like hurts. Maybe it doesn't for guys with big masculine calloused hands, but for my delicate hands, it did kind of dig into my hands and it hurt a little bit. So I'm going to do that, and I'll have to bring some sweaters. Well, she has a sweater, and then I think she's got a little Eddie Bauer, like kind of parka, like puffy. So, and we'll see how she does. But we are going to, Allie's going to be driving the PCT in my camper. I have a pop-up camper. And we'd like to get some people who are willing to chip in for her time and for the expenses. Like, I'm not trying to make money on this. To get support for the ride, for the hike. And you could Slack pack. So that's kind of nice. And also if you have a dog, that's nice. Maybe because my dog's gonna, if she has to ride, I know there's some parts they don't want dogs, and I think legally they have to let service dogs in, but there's also parts where I don't think it's good for, like the desert. It's kind of, I don't want to make her walk through the desert. It's not, I've got little shoes for her, but I haven't tried. I'm going to try them on this trip. I have a feeling she's not going to like them. And they can get, heat, they can burn their pads if it's too hot. They can get cactus, things in their pads. So, but she could ride in the camper for part of the time, or just to give her a break, because it's my hike, not her hike. I know she loves to hike. We hike a lot, but we've never done like overnight stuff. So I've warned her. I'm just kidding. She sleeps in my sleeping bag with me. Oh my gosh, when I first got her, she was like a year, so she was still kind of a puppy. I got her from a rescue. She was in Tijuana. They found her. She had puppies, and I guess they probably took the puppies away, and then they fixed her. But she liked to chew, and she would, like, if you gym shoes with anything with shoelaces, like in a second, she'd chew the shoelaces off. All of our shoes, we had about all new shoelaces. And I went camping with her, and she had to go potty, so I let her out of the tent on a leash, but I didn't go with her. She chewed the guy lines on my fence. Super annoying. Brand new. Oh, that's my old tent. I have a Tiger Wall. Big Agnes Tiger Wall, like an Ultra, maybe. Which I may sell. I don't know. I may sell it. That's another thing I'd like to try to do on the For Kimmy website, is have a swap or sale, place for equipment, especially when people have hiked their hike and they're, they don't want to do ultralight anymore. It's definitely, it's harder. Car camping is a lot easier than ultralight hiking. So I only have a couple more minutes. I get 40 free minutes on Zoom. I'm looking at some other options. But what else? I'm hoping to be able to do this at noon next Sunday. I may have to make it a little bit later because that's when I'm going to be ending my hike. and I'm not sure how far we will need to go to get to where we can get picked up. I think we'll be okay because I think we'll be up on Mount Laguna, and we're going to have, just as a word of warning, at the trailheads. When we did the last hike, I found a trail angel who let me camp on her gated compound in Campo. I left my car there, and then Dave left his car. There's this little parking lot right outside the Lake Marina campground. So when we got up there, we got in his car, and then we drove back to Campo, and I got in my car, and then he went home and I went home. He lives in Temecula. Well, he messages me, someone stole his license plates. Okay. And I just messed with, I'm an SDSU undergrad alumni, and I just bought a lifetime membership, and I got a free license plate holder thing. It's really easy. Like, if you have an electric drill, you can get your license plate off in like literally 2 seconds. It's crazy. So I don't know if there's locking lug nuts for that, but be cautious when you leave your car at a trailhead for an extended period of time, even for just a hike. I know there's people, they know people are going to leave their car there. They know where they park, and then they go steal stuff. Don't ever leave anything valuable, especially not visible, in your car. Like, I've seen purses on the front seat, so don't do that. That's a not Cheryl kind of thing. I'm from Chicago, and I've been robbed more than once. I've been assaulted, and people, purses get stolen. Like, you'll be driving in your car and have the purse on the seat, and they'll break in and grab it out your car while you're sitting right there. So that's a tangent. Just, you got to be aware. Got to have big city awareness. Okay, well, I will talk to you hopefully next Sunday. If you guys have anything you want to talk about, please join me, so I don't have to talk to myself for 40 minutes. And have fun. Train if you're hiking this year. And please go to the website forkimi.org. That's forkimi.org for all your hiker needs. That's what we're trying to do, is address your needs and help. It's a nonprofit. I don't make any money. That's what people, I don't make money. I just want to help. It's for my daughter, Kim. She died of cancer. All right. Bye.